arrogance, deceit, and an astonishing collapse. Witness how one man's fortune failed to shield him from accountability. Before we get started, subscribe to our channel for more stories like this. The courtroom murmured like a swarm of agitated insects, tension thick enough to cut. Spectators crowded the pews, their gazes darting toward the defense table. Rumors spiraled, each more outrageous than the last. Then Ethan Grayson strode in, towering, broad-shouldered, clad in a sleek charcoal gray suit. His posture screamed confidence, teetering on hubris. His polished hair caught the harsh light, and he sneered at the crowd as though they'd assembled to praise him, not prosecute him. Grayson, the headline-dominating mogul accused of swindling millions from vulnerable families, resembled a celebrated guest, not a criminal. But his arrival wasn't the shock. Judge Monica Lee's entrance was. Cloaked in her black robe, Judge Lee advanced with unspoken command. No raised voice or glare was needed. Her mere presence stifled the room. Known for her unwavering principles, she embodied justice without compromise. "All rise for Judge Monica Lee," the bailiff declared. The crowd stood, all but Grayson, who lounged, flipping through papers as if the trial were a tedious afterthought. His attorney hissed warnings, but Grayson dismissed him with a flick of his hand. Judge Lee halted at the bench, her stare sharp as steel. The room stilled. Whispers surged. Who did he think he was? Grayson's smirk widened, defiant, almost taunting. "Be seated," Judge Lee intoned, calm yet unyielding. She ignored his insolence, for now. But the air shifted. The tension wasn't just felt, it choked. This was no mere trial. It was a reckoning. Grayson would soon learn that wealth and privilege bow to justice. Ethan Grayson was no ordinary millionaire. His wealth was headline-grabbing. Lavish yachts, sprawling estates on both coasts, private jets, and parties rivaling A-list celebrity events. His firm, Grayson Investments, had been hailed as a symbol of financial triumph. Yet beneath the glittering facade lurked a grim reality. Grayson's ascent relied on deceit, preying on small business owners and middle-class families desperate to secure their futures. Hundreds entrusted him with their life savings, retirement funds, college tuition, family inheritances, all vanished overnight. The aftermath was catastrophic. Families were evicted. Parents faced impossible choices to feed their children. Elderly couples confronted the bleak reality of poverty in their final years. The consequences of his greed reverberated endlessly. But to Ethan, it was merely business. Even as authorities closed in, armed with overwhelming proof, bank records, forged documents, and damning accounts from ex-employees, he remained unshaken. "I have the finest legal minds wealth can secure," he declared to reporters outside his Malibu estate. "This will pass. It always does." For months, it seemed he might prevail. His legal squad delayed the trial with endless motions, recasting him as a visionary scapegoated by others' failures. But no legal theatrics could dismantle the avalanche of evidence, or soothe the anguish of his victims. By the time the trial commenced in San Francisco, the courtroom buzzed daily with those clamoring for accountability. Among them was Angela Martinez, a widowed mother of 3 left homeless after Grayson's schemes forced her youngest daughter to abandon college. Beside her sat Peter Vaughn, a retired firefighter whose decades of saving for retirement ended with him bunking in his brother's garage. Their stories, and countless others, were laid bare in agonizing specifics, painting a portrait of lives irreparably shattered. Lisa's voice trembled as she recounted the moment she realized her family was losing their home. "I pleaded with them to stop the foreclosure," she said, tears cascading down her cheeks. "But they didn't care. My children slept in our car for weeks. Do you have any idea what that does to a family?" Marcus's testimony was equally wrenching. "I risked my life for 35 years saving others from flames," he said, his voice simmering with rage. "And Cameron Whitmore? He torched my future without a flicker of guilt." Yet Whitmore remained unfazed. He slouched in his chair, scrolling through his phone or muttering jokes to his lawyer. To him, the testimonies were mere anecdotes, background noise irrelevant to the verdict he assumed was preordained. The media lapped it up. Headlines blared about his audacity, his absence of remorse, and the brazen contempt he'd shown the court. Public sentiment soured, but Whitmore shrugged. In his worldview, public outrage didn't balance ledgers. His attorney attempted to reframe the narrative. "Mr. Whitmore is deeply sorry for any hardship," the lawyer insisted at a press briefing. "But he trusts the truth will surface." The truth, though, was that Whitmore had zero interest in confession. He gambled on the system favoring him, as it always had, until now. The wild card. Judge Eleanor Voss, whose reputation for impartiality struck fear into those who underestimated her. The trial became a media circus. News crews clogged the courthouse steps, vying for angles. Inside, tension coiled tighter with each passing day. Witnesses recounted devastating losses, each account sealing Whitmore's fate. But it was his own conduct that stunned observers. On day 3, prosecutors unveiled incriminating emails. "Cook the books. We need these fools to sign now." The courtroom froze as the words echoed, venomous and unambiguous. Angela Martinez, seated in the front row, shook her head in stunned disbelief. Peter Vaughn's fists tightened. Ethan Grayson, unfazed, smirked. "Do you recognize this email, Mr. Grayson?" the prosecutor demanded. Ethan's attorney leapt to his feet. "Objection!" This was already addressed in pre-trial hearings. Judge Lee raised a hand, her calm demeanor unshaken. "Overruled. The defendant will respond." Ethan leaned toward the microphone, his voice oozing disdain. "Yes, I recognize it. But don't twist its meaning. It's just business jargon. You wouldn't grasp the context." The gallery erupted in murmurs. Judge Lee's gavel cracked like a whip. Silence in the court. As proceedings continued, Ethan's audacity escalated. He interrupted witnesses with mocking laughter, rolled his eyes during interrogations, and muttered sarcastic remarks to his lawyer. The courtroom watched, aghast, as he treated the trial like a theatrical performance. Then Angela took the stand. Clutching a crumpled paper, her voice trembled but carried raw anguish. "I trusted him," she said, locking eyes with Ethan. "I gave him everything, and he shattered my family's future." Ethan didn't glance her way. He reclined, scrolling idly on his phone. "The defendant is ignoring the witness," the prosecutor snapped. All eyes turned to Judge Lee. Her face remained neutral, but her eyes blazed. "Mr. Grayson, put your phone away. Immediately." Ethan glanced up, unrepentant. "I was reviewing something critical," he said, brandishing the device. "The phone. Away. Now." For a beat, he hesitated. Then, with exaggerated reluctance, he set it down. The room's tension thickened. Angela resumed her testimony, her voice fraying with disbelief, as though confronting his utter lack of empathy. By the end, tears soaked the courtroom, except Ethan's. The prosecution concluded its case a week later. The defense threw everything they had, discrediting testimonies, warping the narrative, even framing Ethan as a martyr to prosecutorial overreach. But the gaps in their arguments were too vast to conceal. Through it all, Judge Lee remained unflinching, her presence an unshakable pillar of authority. Yet her tolerance for Ethan's theatrics had clearly frayed. On the decisive day, anticipation crackled like static. Reporters crowded the rear, notebooks at the ready. Victims filled the front rows, their expressions a blend of fury and fragile hope. All eyes fixed on Judge Lee as she prepared to announce the sentence. Ethan, meanwhile, lounged at the defense table, flashing smug grins at the cameras, a man certain of victory. "Mr. Grayson," Judge Lee declared, her voice unyielding, "you stand convicted on all charges: fraud, conspiracy, and obstruction. The evidence is irrefutable, and the victims' accounts lay bare the scope of your crimes. You preyed on the vulnerable, shattered lives, and left ruin in your wake, all for greed." Ethan reclined, his face a mask of indifference. "You've displayed no remorse," the judge continued. "Your conduct here has been contemptible. You mocked your victims, dismissed this court's dignity, and treated these proceedings as a farce." The crowd stirred, murmuring approval. Angela gripped her hands together. Peter Vaughn leaned forward, riveted. "Justice," Judge Lee emphasized, "is blind to wealth, status, or privilege. It demands accountability. Today, You face the reckoning of your choices. Silence gripped the room. I hereby sentence you to 25 years in federal prison, with no parole. The room erupted in gasps. Ethan's complexion paled. 25 years. He'd anticipated a token punishment, a few months in a minimum security facility, perhaps. This was unimaginable. And, Judge Lee added, I order your assets liquidated immediately. Every cent stolen will be restored to the families you exploited. Pandemonium broke loose. Angela covered her mouth, tears spilling freely. Peter stared, stunned. Ethan surged to his feet, livid. This is absurd. I'm Ethan Grayson. You think you can degrade me like a common thief? Judge Voss's gavel cracked through the air. Mr. Whitmore, take your seat. This is absurd. I'll appeal. Your career is over, Voss. Bailiffs closed in. This is my courtroom, Judge Voss replied, unflinching. Show respect, or be removed. As Cameron Whitmore was dragged out, his shouts dissolved into the hallway. The gallery burst into applause, a rare, visceral release. Judge Voss turned to the crowd, her stern mask softening. Justice prevails here. Let this remind you, no one is beyond the law's reach. Outside, Lisa Nguyen stood on the courthouse steps, gripping her bag. A reporter asked, "How does today's verdict feel?" "Relief," she said, "but no prison term can undo his harm. My family's still healing. Still, this gives us hope." Nearby, Marcus Cole spoke firmly to a bystander. "It's not the sentence that matters. It's the message. Men like him think they're untouchable. Today proves they're wrong." In her chambers, Judge Voss gazed at the chaos below. No joy, only resolve. Her duty wasn't vengeance but fairness, a testament to justice's power against even the wealthiest. Whitmore's name would fade, but for his victims, closure had begun. Restitution would rebuild lives, though scars lingered. Nationwide, the case ignited debates on accountability. Survivors shared their stories, emboldened by the verdict. The most poignant response came from Lisa's daughter Maya, whose letter to Judge Voss went viral. "You didn't just punish him, you gave us back our voice. Thank you for proving that people like him can't crush people like us." The trial was more than a legal battle. It was a testament to ordinary resilience, moral courage, and the unyielding belief that justice must triumph, even when odds seem insurmountable. Have you ever been in a situation where you saw someone being abused or mistreated? Share your experience in the comments. If you enjoyed this and want more content on inspiring Black stories channel like this, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Thanks for watching, and remember, real courage is not fearing the consequences, but prioritizing justice over comfort.